My name is Carolyn Taft, and I am originally from Springfield, Massachusetts. And my mother and I moved to Panama a little over 2 years ago. And we decided on Boquete mostly because of the weather. We're from a colder climate, so I don't handle the heat very well. And my sister joined us about 8 months ago.
I am from David City. Well, we met in Panama City, where I was working there for the Tocumen International Airport expansion project. About how long ago? Like 2 years?
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, about 2 years ago. And well, we started dating, and now I am living here again in Chiriquí.
So where we live in Boquete, it's a neighborhood called Alto Kiel, and we are up the mountains and surrounded by coffee farms, and it's about 10-15 minute drive from town, and you pass fields where they're growing onions and tomatoes and broccoli.
But the main one is coffee.
So much coffee.
Yeah.
So my mother and I have been living here since May 9th of 2018. We moved down. She's in her mid-60s, and when we moved down, it was 20 days before my 30th birthday. We looked at Belize first, but we ruled that out for a variety of reasons. We did a lot of research on Panama. We read several books, did a bunch of research. We came on Jackie's tour. The culture, the climate, the cost of living, everything. It made so much sense. And then once we actually saw the place, it was just beyond beautiful. There was no words for it. I mean, parts of it, like Cerro Punto, it's so pretty it doesn't even look real. And a lot of the reasons why we decided to move down, I mean, my mother was retiring and she always dreamed of retiring abroad, and with my situation, at 30 years old, my generation is kind of cursed in the US, and I would end up having to have worked 70, 80 hours a week for the rest of my life. I never would have been able to retire. Student loans, all of that is just impossible. And if I had stayed there, I would just be working until I dropped. Here I'm actually able to relax and have a life a little bit and, not be so stressed out all the time. We met within 6 months of when I moved to Panama. I was helping a mutual friend, Debbie, travel to Florida. She needed to bring 2 little dogs that have to travel in the cabin with her. So I was gonna fly to Florida with her and then immediately come back. So we were leaving. We drove to Panama City and we're flying out of Tocumen, which is where Jose worked. And
then we met there and we hang out, and well, that started in that way.
Yeah.
And after some time together, we decided to have this beautiful baby that is here.
Yes, this is Oliver. He is 11 weeks old. Sleeping like a rock right now. He's out cold, but yeah. So it's been about 2 years, and this little amazing creature.
And we are very happy with him.
Yes, he's
he's so cute, extremely cute.
One of the most difficult things about living here for me personally is the language barrier, because I am not good with languages. That's just not my skill set. Some people soak up languages like sponges, and I'm not one of them. I took Spanish in school when I was young, but beyond a basic vocabulary, I don't really I've had a very difficult time, and I understand a bit, but when it comes to actually speaking it, I have extreme difficulty. And luckily, Jose speaks perfect English, and so that's actually had me get a little bit lazy, and I stopped trying so hard to learn the Spanish.
And also here you find a lot of people who speak English, so that does not help because if she goes to a restaurant, many people speak English here in Boquete.
But there have been a lot of situations where I was trying to do something or speak to somebody or, you know, buy something or ask a question and the person didn't speak any English, and you sort of resort to like pantomime and sign language and things like that. And then of course, as soon as I leave, I remember all of the words in Spanish that I needed to say, but at the time it's just like my brain shuts off. So that's been a struggle. So I would recommend to anybody moving here to try and brush up on Spanish as much as possible. Also up here, especially around coffee plantations, because apparently they love coffee plants, scorpions. And I really hate scorpions. I know in a lot of places in the US, scorpions are common, and in Massachusetts, not so much. And I got stung by one about a year ago. It climbed in bed, and I rolled over on it in the middle of the night, and that woke me up at about 3 o'clock in the morning. I got stung right here, and for about 5 hours straight, it burned and throbbed and ached all at once, and it was extremely painful. And
But that was not deadly.
no, they're not fatal, but they're very, very, very painful, and they're creepy. And yeah, I've had a lot of problems getting used to the scorpions. Well, right now everything's sort of shut down because of the pandemic, but before that, economically, the differences between the U.S. are crazy, especially food. He doesn't believe me when I talk about the prices of food in the U.S., especially meat and papayas and things like that. Like, he's looked up like charts on the internet, because you know you can buy a giant papaya for $1, and in the U.S. it'd be $6. You know, it's the meat alone is 5 times more expensive. It's insane. Like, the only things that are more expensive down here are like shampoo. Shampoo is really expensive.
Yeah.
But food is so affordable here. It's incredible.
You know, I can talk about my experience here and traveling to Europe because I have not been to the USA yet. But Panama has prices depending on the area also. It is not the same to go to X area in Panama City, for example, than going to Y area in Panama City. If you go to certain kind of restaurants, the prices are going to be high. You can find also in other areas food very cheap. You can buy a lunch for $3, for example, in Panama City or here in Chiriquí, the same. But
knowing what types of restaurants to go to.
Yeah.
You could spend $100 at a restaurant, or you could spend $6.
Yeah,
it depends
exactly.
on what you want.
And regarding supermarkets, well, certain things like if you buy cereal that is expensive in Panama, fruits are much more affordable than in other countries. What she was talking about, things for the bathroom, any kind of supplies like
Anything
toilet paper
imported.
or shampoo, everything is important and is more expensive than in other countries like in Europe or the USA. That's true.
From what I've experienced personally, the healthcare here is affordable and amazing. About less than 2 months after we moved here, I broke my leg in 2 places. I was standing completely still in the grass and my leg just broke. It was a complete fluke. we ended up going to the emergency room, and I had 2 x-rays, 2 surgical consults, needed to get in for emergency surgery that day, had a plate and 6 screws put in, stayed overnight in the hospital, and with no insurance, it cost less than $4,000. Where in the US, that would have been at least $150,000 with insurance. It was a really good experience, and they didn't put a cast on me, so I was able to heal. I had like an air cast, like a Velcro thing, so it healed very quickly. I didn't have to wait. We're in the U.S. You'd have to schedule the surgery for a few weeks later and have to suffer until then. None of that happened, and it was like $4,000 with no insurance. For the baby, I had a C-section and was in the hospital for 3 days, and that was, what was that, like
$3,500
with no insurance.
Yeah.
$3,500 for a C-section.
In a private hospital.
Yes. The prenatal care was very different from the US. Like, I had an ultrasound every month, which in the US you get 2 ultrasounds the entire pregnancy unless there's a problem. So we paid the doctor cash at the end of every visit, and I was seen once a month, and $3,000 to have a baby with no insurance.
Yeah, that is the cost of the C-section at the hospital.
Yeah.
And the appointments, that was
like
depending on the appointment,
$70.
between $40 and $70.
Yeah, and including an ultrasound every visit.
Uh-huh.
So for things that I miss about living in the US, honestly, that depends on my mood. It varies. Sometimes it's just the fact that pizza delivery and Chinese food delivery, being able to just have that stuff brought to your house. Sometimes, honestly, I really miss Walmart. Being able to buy everything you need in one store versus going to 5 or 6 different places. That's taken some adjusting. So I have caught myself on several occasions missing winter, which I never thought I would actually miss, but maybe not shoveling snow and parking bans in, the middle of February, but the cold and things like that, I have found myself missing that a little bit. But it's not that it's I don't know how to, yeah, that was, my brain just ended.
I'll just go.
Yeah.
But you have to explain that we have delivery service.
Well, now there is, with the
Pandemic.
with the pandemic, that actually became a huge business opportunity for a lot of these restaurants, and because there are no street addresses and things like that here, delivery service wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But now it is, and because restaurants are closed for them, you can't eat in restaurants, so the only way that they're making money is by providing delivery service. So now there's a bunch of them that are doing that. It's fantastic, and I hope they keep doing that afterwards because
before it was more difficult because we have delivery service in Boquete, but in certain areas, and we live here in the mountains.
Yeah, like maybe
far
downtown.
away. Yeah, in downtown areas, but we are in Alto Kiel, and Alto Kiel is far away, relatively, from downtown, and that's why she was saying that the delivery service is one thing that she misses.
Yeah, I mean this only started about a month ago. So I'm loving the pizza delivery for the past month, but prior to that there was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So my mother and my sister and I took Panama Relocation Tour in June of 2017, 16, 17. It was before we moved in 2018, so I think maybe 2016. It was June, and it was awesome. we had a great time. We weren't really sure what to expect, but it was incredible. The amount of information, but mostly just being able to see it, starting from one end of the country and driving across to the other end was just incredible. And, you know, stopping in different places every night and, you know, meeting people that live there was fantastic. But yeah, that definitely cemented in our brains that we were going to move here. And then once we got off the bus in Boquete, we were like, okay, yep, all right, this already feels more like home than Massachusetts did. So, but, you know, just the wealth of information, different perspectives from different people that you meet along the way. We also, you know, maintained some friendships from people that were on our tour with us. One couple actually came to visit us last February that we were on the tour with, and that was great. Yeah, the tour was excellent, but I think driving from one end to the other was what made the difference, because you could be given information and you can read pamphlets and booklets and things and talk to people, but seeing it with your own eyes and how the land changes and the weather and everything like that, that was incredible. My advice for anybody moving to Panama is you cannot be rigid. You know, everything you learn on the tour, everything you see, it's amazing, and file it away, but don't assume that that's always what it is every single day. We've seen people who have come here and, you know, had expectations about how it was going to be, and then they quickly found out that that wasn't necessarily the case, and they weren't able to sort of go with the flow. You have to go with the flow. If you come with rigid expectations and are not willing to adapt, you might not make it. And it's not the US. And there are aspects that might be similar, but it's not. And it's a different culture. And you cannot be rigid. You have to be fluid.